Hey guys, Andrew here, and we are with Thomas and Goodell. So thanks for joining us, guys.
Hey, Andrew, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and welcome to Thomas as well. How are you, Thomas?
Great, thanks a lot. It's good to meet you guys. Good to see you again, Andrew. Good to meet you there. I'm sorry, I want to get you. I want to be able to pronounce your name right. Say your name again.
Me, Goodell.
Not you. Sorry.
So it's Goodell.
Goodell.
So
Yeah, I want to make sure I say it right.
The NFL commissioner, Roger Goodell.
You Goodell, perfect. Yeah. Well, you look a lot nicer and a lot better than Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell, in my opinion, is a fairly evil man. So, I love the beard, man. The beard, fear the beard, bro. Fear the beard. Great day. I'm happy to be here. So, I'll chime in on what I can, but I do know that this is a topic that I love because I'm one of the guys that didn't stand on the little dot in the stores. I refused to be part of their facial recognition system AI bullcrap. Said no, thank you, and I stood my ground every day. So
yeah, you did. I was there. I witnessed it. You definitely gave a lot of people flack over it, which was pretty funny, but also great as well. So this is the second episode.
Yeah.
So this is the second episode of Exponential Pioneers. And we have a challenge. If people are interested in learning more about this topic, you can go to our website, marketedge.pro, and you just click on the link and it'll take you to Exponential Pioneers. And me and G are planning on going down this track to kind of explore some of these topics. And moving alongside of that, I invited Thomas to be here just to share in his knowledge, his understanding on the topic. And obviously, Goodell has a fantastic background in this space. And so, we're just going to continue this conversation as we go. So would you guys like to add anything to that?
Go ahead, Thomas, please.
So, well, as I was just saying, it's this is a topic that we all need to really start paying attention to. We should have paid attention to a long time ago. However, we're never too late at the thing. And what you guys are doing here with talking about the parallel economy and ways to disrupt it. This is why I'm glad to be here. I do have I'm going to actually promote the channel. I haven't done a lot of work on it lately, but I'm aiming to ramp it back up. It's called Cognitive Disturbance. And I've done several videos on smart cities, what they mean. I've also done a thing on a video called Brain Surveillance. I actually was one of the guys that broke the story, contrary to what Alex Jones liked to say. I broke the story on the brain scanning technology that they can actually through biometric mechanisms have an idea of what you're thinking and how you're thinking, which is really fitting what you're playing when you're talking about Yuval Harari's the perfect surveillance of your body. I mean, that's ultimately the goal, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, excellent point, Thomas. And I think I want to reiterate that the point, at least I'd like to get across, is educate our attendees or the people that do watch us, on that concept, the concept and mechanisms of surveillance capitalism, and then maybe discuss the educational methods, how to educate themselves, but also bringing that discussion of ethical, social, economic implications of such data collection, of such surveillance, capitalism as we call it, and kind of start there. So I don't know if it'll lead to a 100%. Series.
I like it because that's exactly, there's opportunity with AI. There's tons of opportunity with AI if done with the right mindset and the right right thought process. Yes, so I'm all about it. We can't put the genie back in the bottle, so to speak. And I'm all about technological advancements. I'm not about oppression. I'm about using these technologies to maximize the benefits to us as humans, as those who have dominion over the earth. So I'm on team Goodell. Let's go.
Oh no, I don't know about that, man. That's awesome. Yeah. We start. I don't know if you want to start with questions, Andrew, or there was a discussion of videos. There was also other topics that I could, kind of bring to the forefront, but
Yeah,
we
before
want to
we
get
jump
sidetracked.
in, yeah, thanks, G. Before we jump in, why don't you just share a little bit about what you're doing with Deja Vu AI
Mhm.
and just some of the work you're doing on that front? We've already shared about that in past episodes, but why don't you just give us a bit of an update on what you can and some of the exciting things that you're doing right now?
Yeah, sure. Well, a little recap, right? So I'm the tech integration czar with Deja Vu AI, and my focus is government and big tech, giving him the right tech in this AI for good, right? And Johnny is very adamant that we call it that because it's like, hey, no, the privacy and everything of the people is very, very much respected in that realm, right? So we want to make sure that, hey, no, there's no gray area for us. It's like it's either private or it's not, right? And every client or customer we engage, we are completely transparent about that. Deja Vu doesn't own the data; it's your data versus your data. That's it. Like, we're not going to own it, we're not going to see it, but it is a tool that can be used for amazing things. But of course, if fallen in the wrong hands, then not so much, right? Deja Vu is a pattern recognition software, right? That can engage and indexes images or video stills or videos, full motion videos against patterns that will either be really difficult to detect by either the human eye, detect, specific pixels, detect all that stuff that we normally can't see. And it could be used, for logistics. It could be used for copyrights. It could be used for security. It could be used for various things, right? As long as you respect, of course, that parameter. So yeah, we're doing great things. Tim Tebow Foundation is one of our, as Johnny has said before in a previous, episode. Tim Tebow is one of our investors, and he obviously fights in the human trafficking world, right? Fights child exploitation. So using our tech to fight that exploitation is something he really, really uh, got behind, right? And is slowly coming to fruition on what that looks like to hopefully get that investment fully on board. Yeah, and just, I mean, if you want to check out our website, go to dejavuai.com, or reach out to Market Edge Pro, to Andrew, and he'll get you, connected to us and talking about the right things.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're talking to different people. I can't specifically say what organizations, what, because of NDA, but they're really, really liking what we're seeing. Been at events, been with some big tech people, but want to make sure that we always keep our technology used for the right reasons, right? So that's a little easier said than done for sure.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead, Thomas. Yeah.
Are you looking for financing still, like for capital?
Hey Thomas, let's talk about that another time, because right now we're just focused on the event stuff.
I'm happy. No, I'll refer you over to Johnny, Thomas. We'll definitely take the conversation out there. And yeah, thank you.
Then you mentioned, I just wasn't sure. I was always.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. No, I appreciate it. I think let's take the topic.
I wasn't. Yeah, that's good. I just wanted to it was just, I'm curious there, so that's good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
Perfect.
I'm a fan of Tim Tebow too, so it's good.
So, the reason I brought that up is, there are aspects of surveillance capitalism being worked and used in positive ways, and I think you guys are definitely on the right track, such as what you guys are doing with Deja Vu AI, but then also hopefully with Holochain, and as Holochain emerges over the next few months, years, to become something that pulls that data and turns it into peer-to-peer type of collection where it becomes truly decentralized, right?
Right.
So with that said, Yuval Noah Harari, there's a video that you can go and check out. It's called Privileged Access to Your Bodies. And they're making the argument that data now should belong to either governments or big tech. And I think that's really the war of the AI century, the AI season that we're in, is who owns that data. And just wondering, what do you guys see for future applications of AI, and what are you most excited about, and what are you most concerned about in sense of what Yuval Noah Harari puts out as
Yeah.
big tech owning your own personalized data? You want to start, Tom?
Well, I guess for me, one of the most exciting things is just about how it helps in the world of business for me, like in terms of bringing all data points together. One of the biggest challenges to running organizations, companies, is when you've got a number of data points in different departments, and if you're like an international or national organizations, you've got a lot of data points in terms of the marketing, the sales, the income, the revenue, HR. You've got all these different departments. Matter of fact, I just watched a conference from Canva, and they're starting to really integrate some AI tools to break down barriers to gaining insights to your organization's development. And the key is being able to maximize the opportunities, but also where to place your funds, where to place your assets, where to place your efforts in terms of where you're going to grow the best and what's not working. If you're using Excel sheets or different what we've been using as of late, they're quite outdated and very difficult too. So that excites me as a business mind and as a person that really is a forward thinker in terms of business. I see tremendous growth and tremendous opportunities in machine learning and AI concepts.
Yeah.
However, the challenge is how do you put up guardrails to protect? Because I'm not going to pull any punches. Novar Urari doesn't speak for most people. We have a right to privacy. We have inalienable rights to privacy, to be able to think for ourselves, the right to liberty and happiness, the right to our freedom of expression and religion. And when you hear him speak, and you honestly go onto his website, the World Economic Forum, in the Fourth Industrial Revolution spoke wheel, and you go down the rabbit hole of what their plans are through various think tanks like McKinsey and Company. You've got the Young Global Futures Council. If you read what these guys are saying, it's not about freedom of thought or freedom of expression. It's about being under surveillance and under complete, almost rule-like, because every movement, everything that you do is monitored, and they believe that because you're in the system that they have a right to that. And that's what needs to be disrupted, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. That's good. How about you, G? Any thoughts? Any
comments
on that?
I kind of second, what Tom was saying. There's parts that do excite me, right? The advanced capabilities, right, that could come from that AI, right? Coming from that data analysis background myself, there's unprecedented possibilities. Personalized services, predictive analysis, stuff like that of course, more efficient systems to improve, health outcomes, personalized education, smarter, urban planning, right? The user experience is important, right? And you want to feel more personalized, which is cool, always, right? But don't exploit that, right? There's new frontiers in research, and that's like opening up new avenues for such fields, environmental science. I mean, you name it, right? Yeah. Empowerment is really, really good, and this empowers people that would, in awareness and education, but it also should empower the privacy-preserving technologies, right? Innovations such as different privacy or federated learning and encryption techniques can enhance that data security for different people, for personal people or personnel, and that gives you the ability to protect that privacy, right? So, but the part that scares me, Andrew, to answer that, it's the erosion of that privacy and autonomy, right? Mm-hmm. That pervasive surveillance, right? So it's like the extensive data collection. You got to understand that somebody owns that data, right? Because the terms and conditions that you did not read and just put accept would have had it on there if they did the right thing, right? And that can lead to that significant erosion and personal privacy. You know, and corporations and governments having that access and or unprecedented access, you know, doesn't give me a warm and fuzzy, right? Or to then all of a sudden lose that autonomy overall, right? Can the AI driven systems manipulate that user behavior, you know, with that targeted advertising or content curation or undermining of individual autonomy or decision making, right? So that's stuff that's like, well, wait a minute, right? And then the ethical and social concerns that we kind of hit on a little bit before, right? The bias, discrimination. Um, can they perpetuate? Can they exacerbate biases? You know, in training and data, and leading to unfair treatment or discrimination of specific people? Are they taking that humanization, right, of empathetic stuff or empathic, you know, social fragmentation and so on and so forth? The lack of accountability scares me. Data breaches or misuse, job displacement, market monopolization. Man, so how do we balance that out, bro?
So I think if you talk about market manipulation, like that's already occurring, right? Because when you look at Larry Fink and what BlackRock Financial has been able to do, now very few people in the world are aware that they developed a massive AI project. They're probably one of the premier pioneers in the financial world, so to speak. Where their AI machine is able to actually predict where the markets are going to go and how they're going to operate. And they've made trillions of dollars, and they're pretty much in control of a lot of the financial mechanisms and levers of power as we speak, through using a dangerous use of AI. Because again, if you get to that point, how does it work for the guys that aren't in that space, which is the 99.2% of us that don't operate in the world of BlackRock's intelligence, right? So these are the things that you're doing that disrupt that, right? Like, it's all about disruption, because we as a human race, we want to make sure that we're able to participate at a level where we still have those basic and inalienable rights and freedoms, and that's really paramount to our survival, right?
Yeah. I was reading this morning about I think Chat GPT or OpenAI found something that other countries were typing in there on how to manipulate or how to attack or how to do other stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, what sets it apart? I think what we can do, right? That other 99.2% that you mentioned, Tom, I think is engaging in informed dialogue always, is key. Advocate, right, for robust regulations, foster collaborative communities, to take steps, that ensure the benefits AI and the data tech, but of course minimizing those harms, man. Got to minimize all that, as much as possible. So
yeah, that's good. Let's jump into a few examples of, like you were just talking about, Thomas, with Larry Fink. What was the name of that program? Do you know the name of that?
I don't know the name, but I know that BlackRock Financial, if you go and do a deep dive into them, if you look and you peel back the ethos of what happened to him in the 90s and how he lost.
No, I'm not talking about Larry Fink, but I'm just talking about the program, the financial system that can go in and collect that data. Yeah. Okay.
I used to know it. You said that out to my
no worries. So, Goodell, you've talked about how the CIA went into Silicon Valley, and it was a startup through the CIA. Are you familiar with what they did with Google Earth? Or I know you mentioned that you weren't familiar with what's behind the scenes with Pokemon Go. But what about Google Earth?
Got it.
So the knowledge I have there, right, because this is obviously back in the 90s, which I was already active duty working on data science and all that stuff, right? DARPA, right? They developed. We had a tech, right, that was, and this is public information. There was a pivotal role that DARPA played, right, in the development of the ARPANET in the 60s and 70s that we were required to read. It was required reading for us, right? ARPANET was a project funded research into like networking technologies and packet switching and all that stuff. You know, that led to the development of search technologies, right? So the explosion of the World Wide Web, if you will, right? I think it was Tom or Tim Berners-Lee, I think, developed it, and led to just the need of a more efficient search tech, right? So here comes, I think it was Sergey Brin and Larry Page, right? The founders of Google at the time, PhD students at Stanford. And they worked on this project called Backrub, right? Funny name, but it was a search engine that used backlinks to rank the importance of web pages, right? So like, what the importance of it is. The concept eventually evolved into the page ranking algorithm, which makes the core of Google search. So you search something in Google, what does it bring first? Pages, right? So Google itself was not directly funded by DARPA, right? But the research environment that Mr. Brin and Page were part of just influenced that various government-funded projects. National Science Foundation, I think it was, that funds that broad range of scientific research, provides that scientific funding for internet infrastructure and research. That's back in the 90s, right? So that created like an environment in which the academic institutions, till this day, right, including Stanford, they thrive and innovate stuff, and right, like let's talk to the students, right? And then there's like the Digital Library Initiative, and the incorporation and early growth of it, right? So they formed. I mean, Google was officially formed in '98, leveraging and researching the innovations of those government-funded projects, if you will, but not directly from DARPA, if you will, right?
And the name of that financial AI mechanism was Aladdin.
Aladdin
for BlackRock. It's called Aladdin.
Aladdin.
Yeah.
So awesome. Yeah. Good to know.
So it's interesting. Shoshana Zuboff, who is kind of the face of speaking out against surveillance capitalism. I don't really trust too much of what she has to say since she doesn't expose all of it. However, she does say that Google was the pioneer of surveillance capitalism, you know, and it really ties into what you're saying, G. So do you think Google was a CIA startup, or was it, you know, did it initially have good intentions and it's just gone off track as it's gone down the road here?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I don't have knowledge that it's directly from them per se, but it's, I mean, you never know what the back channels were working on. Is it intelligence? Is it open source information? Yeah. I mean, did they have a hand in it? Maybe. I wouldn't know, but if it's government funded projects, then I'm sure they got the right people in both private and public sector, you know, to make something very efficient as possible. You know, so but to have names and direct ties like that, not that I know of, right? Not that I'm aware of.
One of the things I would add to that is we may not have a smoking gun, so to speak, that the CIA was directly, but there's definitely tentacles of the CIA having some influence in the development of how Google operates. You know, there's a man named Edward Snowden that's a somewhat of a political prisoner who has been very, very vocal and very open about what the NSA and the those operations were able to do and what they had compiled. And this is going back to 2008, 2009, the early 2000s. So we know that they've had their technologies and they've been developing them, and they're going to use private enterprise as base points to develop what they need. So yeah, that to me is possible, but I wouldn't want to come out and say it's an absolute that they started it, because we've got to be careful what we say. We got to be careful like what we espouse, because you know, unless we have clear cut proof. I mean, there's a lot of evidence that would lead us to believe that, but again, we should be very careful about what we lay on down as saying this fact, in my opinion.
Looks like we lost G. I wonder what happened there. So I guess we'll continue on.
He's there, but he's still there. He's just his camera's off.
Okay.
Yeah. There he is.
Yeah, sorry guys, I had to step away for a bit. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Did you what I said? Did you what I had to say, G, about it? Just about not being quick to state that they're 100% involved, but they definitely there's evidence to point that they were. But to come out and say that they started it or whatever, we got to be careful what we say, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I definitely based it off more on facts than anything, right? That's what I'm saying. To my knowledge, not that I know of, but I'm certain like a little digging or a little research can go a long way with who and what was involved in that, right? I mean, this is obviously back early days, and how those records were about maybe Library of Congress or other locations where stuff has been backfitted to be digital now and not not just physical copies of research, right? So.
Well, and I mean the amount of data that Google compiles on a daily basis, like it's staggering, right? And like to think, and that data is like as you've all know, Rory has been very, very famous for saying, the world, the new currency, the new thing that is that's worth lots of dollars and lots of things is our data, right? So they can sell that, they can take and target ads to us through the algorithms that they've created. So
social listening,
right? Which isn't all bad, right? I mean, I don't want to be flooded with a bunch of stuff about flowers and gardens because I have no interest in flowers and gardens. So it'd be a waste of their time to spend time and resources sending me ads on that, right? I mean, this is where I kind of go. I don't have a problem with that. Like but as long as they're not doing anything nefarious, where all of a sudden it's like they're in my house and I'm having private conversation with my wife or my kids or my business colleagues, and all of a sudden they're gleaning stuff from me that I'm not agreeing to or aware of, right? As you said about any of these agreements, I mean, there should be more warnings in these agreements. Before you say I agree, the warnings you need to hear are these three. These things are what could be possible, just so you know, and then you can choose to participate or not. But if you don't participate, then what? Then you can't use your phone for what it was for, your computer or the app, right? It's very, very tricky to navigate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a huge issue. So what I'm going to circle back. And are you familiar with Google Earth being a CIA startup / operative, Goodell? And do you have any insights on that?
Yeah, the visualization again of Google Earth, because I remember when it was born, it was readily available for us, right? At least in the government, and it wasn't publicly out. So maybe it started, like I said, with the government or government tested, right, as a way to prepare our tech stuff or ATech stuff, and these acronyms are based on it's different operations, but being right used or being an instrument of them, right. So using the satellite imaging and data processing and all that stuff. Like I say, I don't think I have a point per se that it was theirs, right? But I know it was, still being used and by obviously more advanced technology than Google Earth itself. For the National Geospatial Intelligence Agencies and all those guys, right? So, but if you just go to Google Maps now, and it gives you the immersive experience now. It's changed. The software updated now, and it's like really in your face. It's like, wow, you're like actually in there, right? Besides the images, the map is now like a 3D version, right? So, almost like an AR.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Immersive
I'll never forget
technology. That's definitely.
I'll never forget 2009 I'll never forget 2009 when I went on Google Earth and typed in my address, and there's my car, my car in the driveway, I'm like, what? It was astonishing to me. Like 2009, I almost got progress. I want to watch my house. Like it was crazy, right?
Yeah.
So,
It's crazy tech. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the reason I asked that question is because it has so many tentacles out there, and it seems like there's a lot of CIA influence in some of these projects, including Pokemon Go. And with Google being the pioneer of surveillance capitalism, it just makes you wonder how much is it influencing towards the social credit system, like the one in China, right?
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do we disrupt that? What are some examples of us disrupting
Oh.
that, and how do we move society away from that type of fourth industrial revolution and into living systems where society is free and we see autonomy, agency, and security being some of the values of our society, of our culture?
Wow. So
A big question. So I think
well,
one
we
of the
want to
things
own
we're
the data.
doing, I think we have a bit of there's a bit of a gap between our sounds. So sorry about that if I'm interrupting you guys.
Oh, like a delay. No worries. I mean, I could take a hit on this. I think the data ownership is definitely a disruption, right? Because it disrupts surveillance capitalism. It leaves those users or whoever is on these systems to just greater control of their personal data, right? But do you really trust it? Are you really going to go out and say, if they say it in their terms and conditions, and it's good to go, right?
Yeah.
Even if you fight them on it, pretty sure they own a lot of lawyers on retainer, right? So can or will they get away with this stuff, right? Maybe presenting data ownership models from their side, or like a self-sovereign identity, or what you hit on earlier, Andrew, like decentralized data storage, right? Just empowers individuals to own and manage their information. A friend of mine, Kevin O'Neill, has an awesome technology on that, right? Where you really own your own data, and he was early on, and he's very much about ethical and transparent AI, right? Or fair AI practices or data collection practices, where he pushes right for that development, and has developed some, adoption of those practices, and creates transparent algorithms, for the fairness and the bias elimination of those systems, of the AI systems, right? So, what everybody I know would love to would be like accountability mechanisms. Third party audits would be one way. Explainable AI, and ensuring those are used also responsibly and ethically, and then just stronger regulations and legal protections, of course, right? To where no questions asked. If somebody use it the wrong way, we got to shut you down, right? And innovate and create market opportunities for those individuals that that could disrupt surveillance capitalism if it's so out of control, right? So I mean, those are just things that come up top of my head.
So Kevin O'Neill, what was the name of his company?
So I can look it up for you. Kevin O'Neill, CYVA Research.
CIVA
CY.
Research.
CYVA Research Corporation.
Okay.
Yeah, CYVA. It's pretty awesome.
And you also know the founder of the telephone company that's coming out with their own personalized telephone. What was the name of that company?
Oh, you're talking about Eric Prince?
Yeah.
Yeah, Eric Prince. So he's a Eric Prince, one of the founders of Blackwater, right? Later known Z and all that stuff. Yeah, he's definitely a force to be reckoned with. So we just work on some similar contracts. At the time, I'm not going to say I know him personally. Like, oh, that's my buddy. I gotta call him up. No, it's we know of him. We know of each other. But he created the company Unplugged, right? Whereas like he's taking that phone and that system, a wireless system, out of the hands of the big tech corporations, or the ones that do business with the big tech corporations, if you will, right? And I was just at a wireless summit yesterday, and there's a wireless summit yesterday and today, right? So after this, I'm going to head out to the wireless summit that continues on, which is everybody that's there is like Qualcomm, AT&T, T-Mobile, General Motors, Mitsubishi, all these guys that have a say. And this summit is precisely the wireless technologies that are out there, via communications frequencies, satellites and cell phones in the age of AI. So it was pretty cool stuff that we were looking at. Got some great pictures to share, with you in the future here, Andrew, regarding that. It's pretty awesome.
Now they just came out with a phone in May, and you bought the phone. Did you not?
No. I haven't purchased the phone. My buddy did. And I've heard nothing but great things about it. But to give you a thorough analysis of it, I got to use it myself. So.
But that's great. That's great news.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what we're tying into again is the parallel economy and the solutions that keep us out of this big tech grid, the big tech surveillance grid.
Yeah, I don't know that we may be beyond the point of completely being out of the grid. It's just a matter of putting mechanisms and, like I said, guardrails, oversight committees, and even like just people that can actually advocate, that are going to be on the right side of the people, right? Like we're not privy to a Bilderberg group meeting or these higher caliber, higher elite meetings. We don't get to go into those, right? So they're discussing all these things, and it doesn't have a lot of input from the everyday person that's just trying to go and buy some eggs and milk and enjoy a night with their family, right? So I think that the idea is to find ways to make it available to everyone in a way that it's secure, right? Sovereignty is paramount to our way of life. Sovereignty and law and order. You take away sovereignty and law and order, and what do you have? You have chaos, and you have instability, right? Which those are all things that in our history have been our arch nemesis, so to speak, where we've allowed things to carry on too long. We're not paying attention, or we're not activated early enough. And I think these kind of discussions bring forward intelligence in terms of people going, I had no idea, right? I didn't know that. Because unless you're going to be immersed in it, you've got deja vu AI. That's your business. That's what you're breathing right now. You're doing good with that. But I haven't heard of it until today, right? Right. So the idea is to keep having these discussions and to keep bringing people that have knowledge into the conversation, and not the talking heads of the DARPA Mockingbird media that have gone through the Annenberg School and the University of Southern California and have been programmed and taught to completely spew out narratives that are created for them to speak without even really thinking about what they're actually saying. Right. I mean, we're watching it watching that in real time right now. If you're not paying attention to the Trump trial, it's quite remarkable how these people could speak, knowing that none of what they're saying makes any logical sense.
Yeah.
Right. Because in order for a crime to be committed, there's got to be a victim. Show me the victim.
Right.
There's no victim. This is what happens, right? And this is my reason I brought that up is it's a microcosm as to what the greater things can be. Like, for example, going to the grocery store, having my facial recognition, and because I don't follow their narrative, or I don't have their I'm not spewing out the talking points they want me to talk about, or I don't behave the way that they want me to because they've been watching me through various ways of surveillance. All of a sudden, I don't get to enter the store, right?
Yeah.
But I've committed no crime. I haven't committed a crime. I haven't stolen any money. All I did was say something that the government disagreed with, or that the AI system spews out as disagreement. We're watching that on YouTube. You say certain words on YouTube, you get a strike, and sometimes you can get your channel banned, right? This is the challenge I have with it, right? Well, I've been careful not to say certain words. Like, I've learned, believe me, I've learned some hard lessons. I've had a few videos taken down. I've had a few things happen. I had to learn the hard way. I was like, well, I'm going to say what I want to say. Well, it's not how it works. I signed their terms and services. I signed that agreement. And right in it, it says these things are going to be are flagged. And they got a system that scans what we're talking about.
But Thomas, like we have the digital ID that's coming. They're pushing that forward.
Yeah.
They're pushing the CBDCs.
Yeah.
We know a Black Swan event is coming. So outside of Holochain, what are some other viable solutions? Like we're building a solution with Market Edge and what we're doing, and we're pioneering that to come into the marketplace. But it's been hard going. It's been hard grinding. Not people want to hear this. Many people want to talk about it. It's a difficult push. Unfortunately, we're getting a lot of momentum, and it's starting to really take off. But how many people are doing it? Not many.
Here's the thing, Andrew. It's a great question, because what I've been saying all along is, and for a while, is we have to speak with our wallets. Like, we have to invest in companies like Deja Vu AI, Market Edge Pro, companies that are actually going to bring forward the mechanisms that actually how to counterbalance or a counter opportunity to what they're trying to, what the others are trying to do, which is ultimately, making us a bunch of serfs, like not being able to really live our life according to our own values, right? Using a Deja Vu AI, who can actually say, no, that's put in stopgaps through the same mechanism, same tools, effectively, right? Holochain is a great example, because why? It's protected, it's encrypted. These are all things that protect the sovereignty and the freedoms that we talk about.
Yeah, but how many people know about Holochain and are effectively using it and moving forward with it? Not many,
You get 10 people on here, people will learn. Yeah, get your people that are against this. Like, for example, Aaron Rodgers. Every person in this universe should have Aaron Rodgers on if they can get him on. Aaron Rodgers is speaking truth, and he's well liked. He's a celebrity. You got to use celebrity. Unfortunately, it's the way of the world. And you got to and the celebrity's got to be willing to do it for the goodness of us all, without the greed principle, right? And there are some out there that are out there, and we need to keep. And when they're talking, we got to keep putting it out there, because they're telling people, they're warning people. This has got some great stuff to it, but hold on a minute. We've got to be cautious. We got to develop this in the right way, right? CBDCs, I'll argue this. Digital ID is already here, guys. It's already here. Our phones are
digital ID,
right?
So Thomas, sorry to interrupt you. We only have a few minutes left here.
Sure.
I think one of the biggest obstacles that we need to overcome is churchianity and the backwards thinking of many of the church cultures, and not moving forward with kingdom culture.
You're going down the road. Ooh.
And a lot of times I think we focus on the WEF, we focus on Yuval Noah Harari, but we rarely speak on, like, I rarely hear people speaking about churchianity versus the kingdom, because we're really definitely entering into the kingdom age. And with the kingdom age, we have to have kingdom thinking coming forward to be able to move us into a kingdom economic system, so to speak. And I don't know what your thoughts are on that, G, because me and you, I don't know if we've chatted about that much, but I think that's really what's going to forward us into a system of freedom rather than a system of usury and tokenization and, slavery, really.
Yeah. I think the big thing here for that, Andrew, would be establishing that trust factor, right? Trusting that, um, that community or that, church or that whoever you belong to has the best interests of everybody, your family, and establish those systems and mechanisms, internally, right? I firmly believe that the kingdom is powerful. I firmly believe that those that have God at the forefront, truly, not just like you said, Sunday or churchianity or whatever the case may be, like you say, and believes in that higher power, has a big say in things, has a way to impact, you know, the betterment and the how can I say improvement of society, of things, because not everybody has that memo. Everything nowadays is videos, TikTok, and getting my information from YouTube University and all that stuff, and that's controlled by somebody, right? Brilliant on the basics, especially the principles of life. That's key, man. Right? That is, I think, a key to developing a society, a parallel economy, the right peer-to-peer engagements, right peer-to-peer innovation. That will, I think, put us at the forefront of not depending on obviously what's here nowadays. So I don't know if that makes sense.
It does, yeah. So can I just add into this, Andrew? Can I chime in a bit here?
Yeah.
So what I look at is when you talk about kingdom and the kingdom finance, the kingdom economy, language is a very useful tool to the enemy, right? A lot of language is being contorted and twisted into, like, they use words that all of a sudden box us in, right? Like, you're a xenophobe, you're this phobe, you're that phobe. And when you're trying to operate as a Christian or as a person that believes in Jesus, for example, right away you're labeled as they're trying to label us as terrorists right now, which is quite scary, right?
Totally.
But this right here, okay, this is where we get the countermeasure to the words, to the language. And this is where we get our strategy from, because what it says, it tells us exactly what to do. We are to preach the gospel, and we are to do all things of God's will and what God's design is and purpose. The Bible, I go to Bible studies 3 times a week. Men, I used to go to couples. My wife was the one who noticed. He said, no, you're going to go to men's groups, right? Iron sharpens iron. Men don't share vulnerably. When you get 12 or 15 men in a room, Holy Spirit drops in that room, all of a sudden you're getting encouragement, you're getting knowledge, you're getting, and believe me, when I started talking about the stuff we're talking about today, people were saying, oh, come on. And now they're listening to me because they're seeing it. I talk about the scales on the eyes. Once the scales for people's eyes are removed from the programming machinery of all the talking heads and the algorithmic language that they use to fearmonger, once they take the scale off the eyes and then you show them this, that's the tool. That's the weapon right here. We don't need guns. We don't need anything. We just need brethren.
The sword.
We need the sword. We need the armor of God. Ephesians 6:10. We put the armor on. And the men in this world, the lions that are sleeping, it's time to wake up. The leopards need to join the lions. The ostriches need to get ahead of the sand. That's the key. The ostriches are what we got to focus on, because those are the ones that are the most dangerous in our society right now. They know something's wrong, but they're putting their head in the sand and saying, I don't want to deal with it all. At some point, we need the ostriches to become leopards. And what happens is now you've got 70% of the world's population operating in knowledge, fortitude, and understanding. And they become activated. Activation is key. Activation is key. That's the key, right?
Yeah,
that's my goal. My goal in this world is if I die tomorrow, I want people to be saying that guy was active in the spirit and he was willing to go to all lengths to make sure that they knew who was in charge. Jesus Christ. Right?
Hallelujah. Activation. And it's interesting you say that, because we just put on an event at a church in Calgary, and the event was called On the Horizon, and Doug was sharing on the event, and he was talking about how so many people are mired in the now and mired about what's going on now. And it's really hard for them to lift up their eyes and see what's coming on the horizon. So I think that's a real key word, is activation, activating people into their destinies. And I think that's really what this is about. Hey, G, is Exponential Pioneers is about activating people into the potential of who they're about to become, and using some of these keys, using some of these tools, and allowing them to go and be successful in the marketplace for eternal rewards, not just immediate rewards, not just for the now, but for the eternal, right?
Yeah.
So
definitely.
You guys have any last few words before we sign off here and call this session to you?
I'll start, because G, I want you to drop it, man. You know what you're doing. I just went to check you out a bit. You got to keep it up, bro. We need to get behind it. We have to speak with our dollars, right? Because this is a tool that's going to be necessary. As I said, we don't want to suppress technology. It's like with the whole fossil fuel. Let's suppress it all. No, we have brains. We have wisdom from the Lord. We have strategy from the Lord that comes to people all the time. Smart minds. That's the future, right? Carbon recapture and different mechanisms to make fossil fuels almost they're a blessing from God, an abundant blessing that never ends, contrary to what they want you to believe. It's a never-ending source. Okay.
Yep.
So I want you just to know, like, I am thankful for being on this. I do my best to speak the truth according to what I understand, and I am not against anyone, but I will tell you this: I will defend my Lord and Savior and my faith and my salvation until the day I breathe my last breath in this body. And that's the way I'm going to live until the day the Lord comes and says, "Come on home, son." So hope that happens.
Amen.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'm all for preaching the gospel. My family and I, my wife and I were leaders, right? Family group leaders in our community, right? So there's a lot of families. We have like it's like our own little house church, believe it or not. It's how big it's gotten. And I'm grateful for that, and having people in the kingdom and in Christ that I could call friends and brothers, like you, Andrew, and you, Tom. So I want to say thank you, and I appreciate your words, man. And they're not taken lightly, believe me. So just thank you.
Thank you.
That's great. Okay, guys. So in a post-human world, lifting up the name of the Savior is becoming more glorious and brighter all the time. So this body is a body for the temple of the Holy Spirit. And, it's interesting as more and more people move in that direction, how real it's becoming, this body, this temple, and how we can improve its efficiency and its performance by bringing the King into it.
Yeah.
So, with that said, thank you guys for sharing. Thanks for joining. And we'll see you guys in the next few weeks for our next episode. That will be online. You can check us out on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and there'll be more of these. And G has a ton of people that he can bring on this podcast or whatever you want to call this vlog. And I'm sure Tom could do the same thing. So we're going to be bringing exciting guests to speak into these topics. So hope to see you guys soon.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah, would it be okay if Andrew gave me your contact information?
No, of course. Yeah, man. I mean,